Hey there, YouTube land. Welcome to my channel. This is Donna with Linda's daughter Donna. I am out for a victory lap around my neighborhood. I am sharing the exciting news that I just got some of the best results I've ever had since I became or I was diagnosed as a type 2 diabetic. I don't remember what my actual A1c numbers were or what it was when I first was diagnosed. But when I checked my charts recently, my highest since 2015 was 12.8. Talk about ridiculously out of control. So, last year, I had a blood clot and I had to rush to the emergency room. And before I knew it was a blood clot, I was just not able to take 2 steps without being out of breath. And I've never had a heart attack. I hope I never have one of those. But I've read about, what the symptoms are, especially in women. And that's not really what I was feeling. I just couldn't take 2 steps without not being able to catch my breath. And I called my niece, who is a registered nurse, and I either texted her or called her, one of them. But I know her response was in the form of a text. And she said, if you're experiencing this, you can go to urgent care. But if you're experiencing this, go to the ER. And off to the ER I went. And they ran a battery of tests. They even did x-rays of my lungs and a CT scan. And I was there for hours. They really didn't see anything. And so I was discharged. But a few hours later, a call was made to my home. Well, actually to my daughter. And they said to her, get your mom right back to the emergency room. Stat. Turns out that I had a blood clot which broke into multiple tiny pieces, and it went through my veins, through my heart, and ended up in both my lungs. And so I was kept that day, and I was kept overnight so that they started all the treatments they needed to start and monitor me while I was there. But also being diabetic, they were not giving me oral medication. They were actually giving me insulin while I was in the hospital. I have always not wanted wanted to be on insulin. I pushed back on that. I remember many, many years ago, before people started talking about Ozempic, I had a doctor who he just kept insisting that I take this one particular GLP-1 shot. And I gave in after about a year or two of him insisting, and I started on it. Well, I didn't last very long on it because I started having these cramps that would put me in a fetal position. It was just horrible. So I stopped taking it. And, you know, I had been taking all different diabetic oral medication. And sometimes I stuck with it. But a lot of times, you know, when you're on these medications, you think you can eat anyhow, and the medication will, you know, take care of everything. I work out sometimes I didn't. I tested my fingers, you know, I pricked my fingers in the mornings to check my glucose numbers, and I would do that for a while, and then I'd stop. But after my incident last year with the blood clot, and realizing I could actually be put on blood thinners for the rest of my life, I really started to consider my lifestyle. I enjoyed Thanksgiving to the fullest, and I enjoyed Christmas to the fullest. Drinking my sweet sorrel drink and eating my Christmas cake and just doing the most. But January came around and I had to refill one of my medications. And when the pharmacist told me it was $1,000, I said, okay, don't refill that. And I went home and I looked at the girl in the mirror and I said to myself, you have to make a change. And I did. I started with cutting out sugary drinks, because I'm telling you, I loved everything sweet to drink in the stores. And I want to say somewhere or sometime in November, I found this juice drink blend. One was guava and the other was orange carrot, or orange mango, or carrot mango. No, it was a carrot mango drink. And they were great. They were delicious. And I was just throwing that back. But like I said, when I recognized how much my medication was going to cost me, and I had to choose, do you want to spend $1,000 every 3 months? It would come down a little bit when, you know, you meet your deductible. But that was one of 3 diabetic medications I was taking. So I just absolutely flipped the script. I chose working on myself. And like I said, first thing I did was cut out all sugary drinks. I drank. Hello. I'm well. How are you? You're the.
Be careful, or call you and the doctor.
I will absolutely be careful. Thank you very much. I will. I'll be careful going all the way around, okay? Thank you. You as well. I will. I want you to be the leader of my country. He's brilliant. You're awesome. You're welcome. Bye. Okay. Oh my God. This little boy just stopped me to say hello and to tell me to be careful as I walk around. Sweetest thing. But like I was saying, I would have missed that if I didn't come out for a walk. I'm hoping this video is not more than 30 minutes long. I'm telling you my story. I'm rejoicing today. But so I cut out sugar drinks. I started drinking water and teas. Hot or cold teas, absolutely no sugar added. And the herbal teas. Now, because I was on a blood thinner, they suggested, not drinking coffee, especially caffeinated coffee, because I don't really like decaf coffee. And I love my coffee sweetened with condensed milk or sweeteners. So I backed off coffee. I absolutely backed off coffee. And that was my jam. And after about a month, my taste buds got acclimated to doing without all the sugars. And then I started to cut out certain carbs, especially late in the evenings. And I am a person that could have dinner at 10 o'clock and go right to bed. I cut all that out. I love muffins. And I started to make muffins with almond flour and load it up with blueberries. And then berries became my friend. Blueberries, strawberries, raspberries. Yes, I really started to do that. And I made soups. And I decided to cut out all the different yellow yam and cocoa and all those things that you put in soup when you make soup the Jamaican way. I loaded up my soups with vegetables and yams, the American kind. I don't know what else to call it. Lots of veggies. You can go back and watch some of my videos that don't even have a lot of views, but it's worth watching as far as I'm concerned. And the other thing that I did was dinner was no later than 8 o'clock. 7:30, no later than 8 o'clock. I just absolutely changed the way I was eating, the way I was living. And I started doing light core exercises at home because I didn't want to go into the gym and, I wanted to stay away from environments where I could probably catch a cold or that C word that was going around. Even though the pandemic was over, it was still, and it's still going on. So I did all I could to protect myself. And to my glorious moment, when I got my blood work done 4 days ago, my A1c, which was at the highest, 12.8, I said, is now 6.7. My A1c hasn't been that low since 2015. Let me stop and catch my breath. I wanted to go run up the rocky steps and hold a sign up that said, I lowered my A1c. I am so happy. My cholesterol is under 200 for the first time since 2014. You have to put in the work because you are worth it. You are worth it. You are worth it. I did another CT scan. I have no more of those mini clots. They're all dissolved, and my lungs are free from clots. Whoa! I'm excited. And more than all, I am motivated to keep up the good work. Very motivated to keep up the good work. So, my plan is to start working with a dietitian to help me be more creative in my meal plan or my meal plan for the week. I want to change up some things and add some things to my repertoire because this is a lifestyle change for me. For however long God lends me breath on wonderful earth. Absolutely. So I'm encouraging any type 2 diabetic that's out there. You can do it. Be encouraged. Sometimes you have to encourage yourself. But you can absolutely do it. Talk about one happy lady. Now I just did a lap around and I'm going in so that I can show you one of my pleasures. Let's go check out my vegetable garden, the seedlings and how they're doing. Because if I'm going to eat all these wonderful foods, I want to be able to grow some on my own little piece of earth instead of having to go to the supermarkets all the time. So come with me. So this is my greenhouse and it's leaned against my fence, and this table is kind of right next to it because I had it freestanding and it became windy one night and it blew over. And I had a container with spinach, just the seedlings, and it turned over and I lost all of those. So I had to start my spinach from scratch. And here we go. They're doing well. So because I know that spinach, grows well in the cooler weathers, this has been actually outside in these very cold nights. That's been like 40 or 38 in my greenhouse, and they're doing well. They're doing well. And I have a feeling I may not have to replant these, but I'm gonna watch them. But right now, my spinach is doing well. So let's get them back in the greenhouse. Let's put this on pause. So this table is gonna host some of my vegetables. And over in this little corner will be, my tomatoes and my yellow squash. This is a pepper plant that's just died, but I'm gonna root that up and I'm going to put some good nutrition in the soil, and I'm absolutely going to plant my pepper seedlings when they're ready to come outside in that container. I'm also going to get a couple of grow bags because I'm going to try my hands at sweet potato. So my grow light, let me move this out of the way. So I have right here, I have sweet peppers, I have my yellow squash, I have my hot peppers, tomatoes, and some more spinach right here. I have definitely not done well with my green onions. This is another yellow squash plant and one down there. I think I'm going to put my yellow squash out in the greenhouse. It's gonna be like 80 degrees tomorrow, and I think I will be able to put some of them outside in the greenhouse. Maybe during the daytime, I'll see what it's like putting them out. I think I might have to put those in another pot pretty soon. Miss Renee, when you watch this, you can tell me if that's ready to go in its permanent place. It just keeps growing, and I like that. Now, that's one of my yams. It's absolutely rooting very nicely, but I know that the next step is I think it's supposed to shoot some green, whatever you call it, I don't even know, from the top. I'm gonna wait and watch this some more. This is not yet ready to go into the soil. I'm so bad, I should have gotten the verbiage correctly, but it's doing nicely, rooting right there. So definitely I'm going to be planting some. I know that's a sweet potato and not a yam. I can hardly tell the difference. Now, what I do with these, they tend to follow the light. So once I see that, I turn it around. I turn them around. These need some water, so I'm gonna be watering these. I turn them around so they could start. I want them to survive. Yeah, there's a little one coming up through there, and that's not, I don't know if that's gonna survive, but I feel good about my plants, and I think I'm gonna have a really nice harvest of plants this year. So that's where my vegetables are. See, these are coming up very nicely, and they look healthy and strong. So back to my little corner as I get ready to close out this video. I took some notes because I really like to come on here and be at least talk some good sense. Now, the normal range of our blood sugars are between 4.8 and 5.6. If you're between those ranges, you're not considered a diabetic. Okay? I believe anything above a 5.6 to 6%, they consider you pre-diabetic. Well, I am 6.7, which for the most part is considered abnormal. But I know when I go sit before my doctor in a couple of days, she's one of the best doctors. She is going to rejoice with me because I am continuing on this. I'm not going to say when I continue. As I continue on this wellness journey, I am going to get below 6. So my next goal is to get to 6. All right? I'm taking it slow. I'm taking it easy. I'm taking it the right way. My next goal is to get to 6. And if I get to a 5.9, it is even gonna be greater. But my next goal is to get to 6. And then my other goal is to get my weight under 200 pounds. And that's the other thing that's going to help me to get to that point. All right. So now I went for my walk, and later on, I'm going to be lifting some weights, and I'm going to use some 10-pound weights. All right. And I'm only going to be doing that for probably about 10 minutes. I'm not about to try to strain myself. And I'm going to get on my bike for as long as I will have the energy to do that. I'm going to have my dinner, and I'm going to take my medication. And another thing I want to let you know is that I am already off one of my diabetic medication. I'm just so ecstatic, okay? So I'm no longer taking blood thinners, and I'm off one of my diabetic medication. I will tell you, please see your doctor. Don't do anything just all willy-nilly, okay? I am definitely talking with my doctor. I'm making my appointments, and I'm going to my appointments, because the idea is to do this well, is to do the right things. And I'm not gonna come on here and give you bad advice. I will always tell you, talk to your primary care physician, go to a clinic, definitely do this with sound advice from professionals. But what I can tell you, as a person who has been on this journey seriously since January, and now we're in May, when you make these small changes and keep them up, it absolutely works. It absolutely works, okay? I think in September, my A1c was 8.4. And I know between September and December, it had gone up. Because like I said, I was throwing down the sugars and the carbs during Thanksgiving and Christmas. But there was a lifestyle change. So enough of me. You've seen my garden starting, at least the starting of what my vegetable garden is going to be made of, okay? And I'm praying over it. I'm praying over my garden because I really want to be successful this year. Well, from my lips to your ears, remember, you are worth it. You're absolutely worth it. Invite a friend. Tell some people about my channel. Come on over and let's do this together. Glad you could stop by, and I will see you in my next video. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and give this a thumbs up. If you've listened to this all the way through, please go all the way through and listen to this and give it a thumbs up. Thanks for stopping by.